Good morning. It is Friday, the 19th of December 2025. Poor old Hans is on his way down to the Nakatomi Plaza. And if I do a Christmas Day episode, he'll just be lying there on the ground. Welcome, one, and welcome all. And who have we got in the chat here? We've got Sarah Davis, first of all. First. We've also got Martin Harrow. We've got Diz. We've got Gallifreyan Wren. We've got Simon Smith. And we've got, who else have we got in there? Veg Pie is in there as well. That's pretty cool. And Neil Rutherford. Hello, everybody. I'll just, just remind everyone who is not in the chat but wants to be. All you need to do is give us a subscribe. You need to hit the subscribe button and wait for 1 minute, and then you should be able to join in with the fun. I've got to stop these dangly bits from scratching the table and making a noise on the microphone. Anyway, hello, and welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. I'm Graham Hughes. Discombobulated as always. Well, thank you. Awesome to have you with us. We've got a lot of stuff going on. We have Christmas coming up. We have Trump being vile. We have Kemi Badenoch being incredibly vile, saying that the real problem in the violence against women, the pandemic of violence against women, the worldwide pandemic, it's the fault of immigrants. That's what she said. Being the child of immigrants and actually being an anchor baby. She was born in Britain, but she grew up in Nigeria. But apparently everyone else is bad. She's the only good one. So let's talk about the EU summit that happened yesterday. It was supposed to rattle into today, but apparently they wrapped it all up last night. The European Union has agreed to give a loan. This isn't a freebie. A loan of 90 million euros to interest-free to Ukraine, which will cover 2026 to 2027 in their ongoing battle to stave off the barbarians of the wastelands of Northern Asia. Funding raised on capital markets was backed by EU budget headroom and the frozen Russian assets that we talked about yesterday in Morning Brew were not used. They are still frozen. They are still sitting there. They're still not being used. And this is because blockers like the USA and Hungary, who aren't our friends, decided to stop that from happening. And also the Belgians were not too happy about that as well, because the onus was going to be particularly on them because they had the lion's share of these frozen assets. But, they had these assets. There's something that people aren't really pointing out enough. It shouldn't really be their money. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's someone else's assets. They just happen to be in Belgium. But you know what the Belgians are like. If anyone's read King Leopold's Ghost, you'll know exactly what they can, depravity they can get up to. Not that anyone in Belgium ever admits to the sickening acts of brutality, murder, genocide that happened in the Belgian Congo around the turn of the 20th century. But, I digress. I think they're changing some street names to take King Leopold II's name off it or something, but there's still statues of the motherfucker everywhere. Anyway, so Ukraine faces a shortfall of roughly 137 to 130, about 137 billion euros over the next 2 years. So this cash crisis will begin in spring 2026 without further support. And it doesn't help that America's really not helping anymore because it's been taken over by an orange twat who is very much in the thrall of Vladimir Putin, who's a bit of a Svengali when it comes to Trump. He's a bit of a Trump whisperer. Trump would like to be Vladimir Putin, but unfortunately for him, he wasn't born Russian, and also Vladimir Putin is still alive, and no one else is going to get to be president of the former Soviet Republic of Russia anytime soon. I don't think. Well, not while Putin unfortunately walks the earth, I guess. So yeah, President Volodymyr Zelensky, he's warned weapons and drone production will be cut if this money wasn't forthcoming. And we need to talk about how far 90 billion euros goes. The loan roughly covers 2/3 of the amount needed, the projected funds needed, and that leaves a significant funding gap which has been left unresolved. There will have to be further European or allied funding required. It's not going to come from America, I'll tell you that now. So maybe, darling sweeties, we should consider loaning the money from the UK. The problem with that is the amount of money that they need, which is approximately £40 billion, is about the same as the amount that we had to pay out to leave the EU. So we don't have that money because we paid it out to leave the EU. Why did we have to pay out so much money to leave the EU? Because we had to pay for the fucking pensions of shitbag millionaires, multi-millionaires with cunts bank accounts like Nigel Fladage. Yeah, we have to pay that. We have to pay his fucking pension. For some reason, we pay him £70,000 a year. On top of his money that he gets from being an MP. On top of the money he gets from flogging gold and cryptocurrency and little videos of him saying hello to people like Hughes and saying up the bar and things like that on Cameo. It's just really grim. It's really, really grim. But yes, it would help if we had a bit of money there, but it might not be forthcoming, all of it, because that's a lot of money for one country to pledge. If you think about it being half of the money that the entirety of the EU, all 27 countries, have pledged. Although not all 27 countries, because Slovakia, the Czech Republic, and Hungary can get to fuck because they don't want anything to do with this. They want Putin to win, which is why I think that they should be suspended from the European Union and from NATO. Just say, okay, I'm sorry, guys, you don't seem to be interested in this. Do you know why we should do that? Do you know why we should do that now? Because it will fuck the economy, especially of Hungary, which has elections coming up next year. And if Viktor Orbán gets another fucking 10, 15, 20 years in power, he's going to fuck shit up so much for us in the rest of the continent of Europe. So, if he wants to be part of the neo-USSR, well, fucking go for it, you twats. The HSSR. Go on. Talk to the people in Estonia or Lithuania or Latvia about what it was like growing up under Soviet rule. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, around 210 billion euros of money, I guess, funds have been frozen across European banks and financial houses, financial institutions, whatever. And approximately 185 billion of that 210 billion, so like the lion's share, was held at Euroclear, which is a Brussels-based clearance house. So the assets were frozen following Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022, but they're not actually done anything with it. And what they wanted to do was just take out a loan against that as the collateral. So they weren't stealing the money. Like I said yesterday, they weren't, filling it sacks full of money, of Russian rubles, and slinging them over their shoulders and running away. This was just if the money's not repaid, then it will be repaid out of the this frozen money. So that the unfortunately, to seize these assets required unanimous approval, not majority approval, which they would have got by a mile, but unanimous approval from all EU member states. Belgium demanded legal guarantees against Russian retaliation, which is fair enough, and something that the EU could have offered. They were concerned about lawsuits, financial risks, and direct targeting by Russia. But that didn't sway them. And even if it had swayed them, it wouldn't have made any difference because, like I said, for asset seizure, you need to get the likes of Hungary and the Czech Republic and Slovakia, or Czechia and Slovakia, on board, which they were not going to do, unfortunately. But the money has been immobilized. These assets has been immobilized, frozen indefinitely. They cannot be accessed by Russia. They're not currently funding Ukraine. And the EU has said that they are intended for future war reparations, which is a good thing. So there's some good and bad in this. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's not like Volodymyr Zelensky's gone back to Kyiv with empty pockets by any stretch of the imagination, but it's still not the optimal solution to this issue, which would be to fuck Russia in every way possible. So it walks funny. That's how just fuck it all the way to hell, and then fuck it some more. That's what I would do. But yeah, we're not doing that because we've got to be, softly, catch your monkey. It's always worked out so well in the past, when the Weimar Republic were like softly, catch your monkey with Hitler, when the Democrats in America were softly, catch your monkey with Donald Trump. I saw a thing about Donald Trump changing the plaques for the presidents in the White House and making fun of the former presidents. And we talk about he's a 12-year-old. He's a 12-year-old child. He's a spoiled, fat, annoying, disgusting 12-year-old child. He's all four of the horrible kids from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory put into one. He's Augustus Bloop. There's the gluttony right there. He's Veruca Salt, demanding things, stamping his feet if he doesn't get his way. He's Mike TV. He wants to be on TV. He's obsessed with being on TV. And he's Violet Beauregard. Is it Violet Beauregard? The one who's always chewing gum. Yeah, he's just vile, just a spoiled little rich kid. And he's just a child. That's what a child would do. If there was in the classroom, if there was the pictures of the former, head of the year, what do they call it? Like class president or whatever in school. He's the one who would put up fake plaques underneath it saying that this guy's a knobhead and drawing fucking cocks on their heads and stuff. I mean, I'm sure that's hilarious when you're 12 years old, but when you're a 79-year-old man in charge of the biggest nuclear arsenal in the world, it's a big fucking concern, isn't it? Miss Paula Thomas reminds me that super chats exist. Thank you so much, Miss Paula Thomas, for the first super chat of the morning. The Belgian PM showed physical cowardice. He cited personal threats from Putin as influencing his objections. Yeah. Stop feeding the beast. Stop feeding the beast. Stop. You got to stand up to bullies. Stop feeding the beast. Stop pussyfooting around, And if you threw Hungary, or at least suspended Hungary from the EU, right, and so its access to the single market and the customs union was disrupted, if you did that now, right, and cited his affinity for Vladimir Putin and say, well, let Putin dig you out of this mess because obviously he's your bezzy, fuck off. You don't have to kick them out, just suspend them long enough for Orbán to be booted out of his country because their economy would just tank. It would just absolutely tank, and the EU's got the power to do this. It's got the power to make Vladimir Orbán the most unpopular leader in the whole of the world. They can fucking do that. They should do that. I don't think they will, but they fucking should. But then, you know what I'm like. I'm like, yeah, they should bomb everyone. Fuck them. So listen, since Paula, it's all Paula's fault. Sorry, Paula. Has reminded me wonderfully that Confetti exists and super chats. I'm gonna set a Confetti challenge to you all. Christmas Confetti challenge. 10 super chats in the next hour. Got an hour. Get them in. 10 super chats, and then we will have confetti in the chat and also on the screen here. It'll be awesome. It'll be amazing. Please stay with us for the confetti. Come for the political banter. Stay for the confetti. So how this loan works is the EU is going to, instead of borrowing against the assets that are being mostly held in Belgium, they're going to borrow from financial markets. Repayment is guaranteed collectively by participating states, which is all states in the EU, with the exception of Hungary and the Czech Republic and Slovakia. Cheers for that, knobheads. Although, Czech Republic, nice place. Go to Prague, lovely. Beer, dead cheap. Ooh. I'm torn about the Czech Republic. Also, like, someone had a moan at me because I put on Facebook, well, who would you rather be fighting against, if it came to it and we were fighting against Russia? Would you rather be fighting with the brave Ukrainians, or would you be rather fighting with the Putin-loving Hungary? And then people go, no, the Hungarian people love it. I didn't say the Hungarian people. I said Putin-loving Hungary. It's very difficult, isn't it? Because you go, oh, Israel did this terrible thing. It's like, well, not everyone in Israel did it. Okay, the Israeli government. No, well, it wasn't the government. They didn't go out and do that atrocity. Okay, the Israeli military under the direction of the Israeli government. It takes too long. You may as well just say Israel. But then you piss people off because they're like, I'm from Israel. I didn't sanction this massacre. I didn't sanction this genocide. What are you talking about? So it makes it quite difficult when you're talking about the actions of a country, because it's not really the whole country, is it? You can't judge a country by the actions of its government. But whereas I don't want to be, I don't want the Hungarian people to suffer. Budapest is a beautiful, beautiful city. Buda and Pest, it's actually two cities like Manchester and Salford. It's like two cities mushed together in Manford or Solchester. But yes, they actually, there's lovely people. I have no problem with that. I do have a problem with Viktor Orbán. Get rid of him. How can we get rid of him? Fucking temporarily suspend Hungary from the EU. Don't let them travel anywhere in the EU without a fucking visa, and don't let any money go in or out. Just do it for 2 months. 2 months. That's all you need to do. Viktor Orbán was so fucking unpopular. He won't stand a chance. No matter how much he tried to gerrymander or stack the Supreme Court or stack the Parliament or whatever, he's gonna fucking lose in April. I think the election's in April. We have a super chat that's come in from Francis Winrow, £2 super chat. Thank you very much, Francis. It's very kind of you this morning. Thank you. L Violet says hi. Violet, hello. The Trump Center for the Screaming Arse. Yeah. You wrote art, Dragon's Ring, but I'm going to say the Trump Center for the Screaming Arse. That makes more sense to me. So Trump's also changed the name of the Kennedy Center in Washington to the Trump Kennedy Center. I mean, you name things out. Other people name stuff after you. You don't do it. Also, Trump's face is going to be on the minted coins for the celebration of the 250th anniversary of America, even though no living president is supposed to be on a coin. Wow. But yeah, he gave himself a medal. Do you remember last week or the week before when he got that medal from FIFA and he put it on himself? Like, no one wants to give him any accolades or anything. When he dies, it's going to be like the equivalent of Saddam Hussein going and getting deposed in Iraq. He's going to be pulling down all his statues on all those gold fucking plated concrete statues. Oh, we made a statue out of concrete. It looks disgusting. Let's paint it. Let's plate it with gold. That'll look cool. That's what a 12-year-old would think. Anyway, so this is going back to the loan in the EU. The financial liability is shared rather than on an individual state. So you could argue that it was a bit unfair on Belgium that they will be taking the lion's share of the shit if it fucks up and Ukraine isn't able to repay the money, etc. But who is exempt from paying? Well, Hungary, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic, as I've said. These states are avoiding financial responsibility, and their exemptions weaken the collective accountability of the EU, and they are three countries that the EU could live without. And I think they should just be kicked out on the back of this. Just like, no, go and play with your Russian friends. Go and play with that country that has a GDP per capita on a par with fucking Panama. Okay, go on. No diss on Panama. It's a lovely place, but it's still quite developing. You go there, right? Yeah. You go to them. Go and ask Vladimir Putin for some money. Yeah, go on then. And I tell you what, if he tells you to fuck off, here's a bit of advice for you dickheads. Don't go, oh, he told us to fuck off, because then he'll throw you out of a fucking window, because that's how he fucking works, you daft twats. And loads of money in the swear jar this morning. But Viktor Orbán, Vladimir Orbán has repeatedly obstructed Ukrainian aid. He has, the Hungarian government maintains a strict alignment, not with Europe, not with Brussels, but with Moscow. Some fucking far off place in the northern wastes of Asia. He's using veto threats to dilute and delay support for Ukraine. He's done this since day one, and he needs to be stopped. They need to get rid of him. And do you know what the EU are going to do? And I'll predict this now. They'll say, oh, it'll be all right. It'll be out in the next election. I mean, who's going to vote for him? He's a gobshite. And Orbán's going to rig the next election. And he's going to get back in. Because that's what all the billionaires want. That's what the billionaires want. Look at what the billionaires want. And if that's what the billionaires want, don't leave it to chance. The billionaires wanted Brexit. They got through. The billionaires wanted Trump 1. Got in. Wanted Trump 2. Well, he failed in his first attempt. Only just. But, Trump 3, he's back in. Third time of asking. Why? It's because it's what the billionaires wanted. Why did Labour get in last year? Well, it's because the Tories lost. The billionaires pulled the funding from Tories. Tory funding went down 90% in the run-up to that election, 90%. Because the billionaires are like, no, we don't want you in power anymore. Because they were economically incompetent. So as mad as this may sound, the billionaires wanted Labour in because they wanted some grown-ups in the room. They wanted someone who knew actually how to run an economy. And look, I'm gonna spangle fucking Labour with riches and accolades because they've fucked up a bunch of shit, but they've done some good stuff, and they are a lot better than the Tories, which isn't saying much, I know, but they're a lot better than the Tories. Amy, thank you very much. What the fuck is going on? Levy review's a nightmare, and now Phillipson's blocked EHRC guidance for not being trans inclusive. Did I jump timelines? Well, yeah, Amy. Also, this week, thanks for the super chat. The balloon-faced cunt, Wes Streeting, stood up in Parliament and actually defended the trials of puberty blockers for trans children against the Tories who were like, this is child abuse. It's going to render them infertile. It's just the same as chemical castration, which is not. But Labour are actually standing up for trans people. I don't know. I don't know, Amy. Something's happened. Something's in the water. Maybe the lobbying efforts that have been made by trans people and their allies have actually paid off in some way. I don't know. But Labour need to get their act together. Maybe they were just shown some. Maybe Phil turned up. Maybe Phil Morehouse turned up right in number 10 with his spreadsheets and just went, listen, knobheads, right? Going after trans people is not winning you any votes. It's just losing you votes. It is just losing you votes. Maybe he just turned up and said, look, you're not losing votes to refuck. It's the Tories who are losing votes to refuck. You're losing votes to the Greens because you're not progressive enough, you daft twats. One of the things I said about what I was looking forward to is Zach Palanski becoming leader of the Greens. It's pulling the Overton window to the left. And if this all goes through and we get puberty blockers back on the NHS for trans children, etc., and Labour, I don't know, relooks at the gender recognition certificate process for trans people, make it easier, and does what it needs to do. It's what I think its legal obligation to do is clear up what is actually meant in the 2010 Equality Act by a woman, and they should put in the glossary, put in the appendix that it means a person who has a gender recognition certificate for that gender, or is cisgender. That'll be awesome. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, we'll have to see, but that'll be great. The ballroom, as projected, is about 3 times the size of the rest of the White House, so it's likely to take several years to build, like 20 of them. Says Mr. Paula Thomas. No, it won't. It won't, because it's just going to be made on the cheap, Paula. He's going to take $300 million from the American people, or maybe $400 million, and he's going to spend about $1 million on building a shed. He's going to build a shed in the back garden of the White House, right? And the shed is going to be painted on the outside. I guarantee it'll be a metal shed and it'll be painted on the outside to look like it's got pillars and that. And when you knock on the pillars, they'll be hollow. It'll either be painted or it'll be hollow. It'll paint it gold. It'll just be a tin shed painted gold, and he'll pocket the other $299 million that he's taken from the American taxpayer. There you go. Boldskov says, or maybe they sent a leadership contest and Streeting and Phillipson both realise where the membership of Labour stands on trans rights. Ooh, yes, Boldskov. That could be also in the water, I think. And Gallifrey Man said, I made a joke about big trans as compared to big oil in the previous stream, and the silly idea evolved from there. Yeah, the trans lobby. Yeah, because that exists. because of all the trans people everywhere. I've got a list of them. If you go to Trans School Mafia, there's a list of 1,301 people on the fucking list of people who are all trans in the public eye, who have power over our lives and make all our films that we watch and all the actors that we watch. Yeah. I'm taking the piss because obviously that's not the case in any shape or form. The actual list is the private school mafia list. 7% of the population, 99% of the power. If anyone wants to just check it out, I've just put the link in the chat there. You can just click on that and just scroll through that motherfucking list. There's 1,301 names on the list. No repetitions, no mistakes. They all went to private school at one form or another. People go, oh, it says grammar. It says grammar. It says Wolverhampton Grammar School. No, it says it's a grammar school. It was a private school. It's a bit like when they had the People's Republic of Korea. It's not a republic, and the people don't run it. I swear. Viper Scott, thank you very much for the £2 super chat for Dizzer's Confetti Fix. Oh, thank you so much. That is so kind of you, Alistair. Putting that in. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Show this. The EU has issued EU-wide bonds for 90 billion euros. Big Hungarian minority in Ukraine. Transitional phrase to get rid of Russian gas. Orbán opposes Muslim immigration. Usual bad Muslim occupation experience. No, I mean I think it's one of those things where you got a Muslim mayor of New York City and of London, nylon. And at the moment, you've got Muslim people living all over the UK peacefully and in harmony with all the people that live here, of all the faiths, the Sikhs and the Hindus and the Buddhists and the Christians and the Catholics, the Protestants, the Seventh-day Adventists, the Mormons. Pick your tonic, name your flavour. The by and large, most people get along. But the fear that is instilled in people by the media because of certain minority acts by any group is just bonkers. There was a white guy who did something so fucking horrific. I'm not even going to fucking read it out on here. It got no coverage. He went down last week in Wales, right? There was no coverage. If he had been Muslim, it would have been all over the news. It would have been like, oh my God, this is the most disgusting, sickening thing a human being could possibly do, which it was. He's in jail now. He will be in jail for the rest of his life, quite rightly. But there was no big media fuss about it because he was white. They didn't even say, oh, all the Welsh people are like this. This is what Welsh people are like. Welsh people are all out to get us. Yeah, they didn't do that. So what you often find is that places that have an overall white, massively white majority, like Lincolnshire and here in Durham, you tend to find more racism because it's easier to be racist when you don't know anyone who is of a different race, or it's easier to be sexist when you don't know any women. So it's easier to be homophobic when you don't know anyone who's gay, when you're not gay yourself. It's a lot easier. But when you got friends from all over the world, and you got friends who are gay, when you got friends who are black, when you got friends who are Asian, when you got friends who come from all, different social classes, it's very difficult to lump them all together and say, oh yeah, all working class people are Benefit Street. They're all Benefit Street. I'm just going to lump them all together. I'm going to stereotype. It's a lot more difficult. So what do we got here? We got Viper Scott for Dizzer's Confetti. Thank you very much for that. And we've also got Ms. Paula Thomas, thank you for the super chat. How many people on the list send their own children to state schools? I know one privately educated person who did. I don't know, Ms. Paula Thomas. You if you want to spend your day, several days, going through every single name there, and then tracking down where their kids went to school, which might not be easily available on the internet because it's not like they have a Wikipedia page. Pretty much everyone on that list has a Wikipedia page. That's right, it's so easy to cross-reference them. And what I try to do when there's a Nepo baby involved, like the banjo player from Mumford & Sons, his dad is the owner of GB News and the funder of Refuck. You put QV. I don't know what QV stands for. Quo Vadis. You put that in brackets afterwards. Also I've learned from Roger's Profanosaurus in the Viz. But yeah, that means that there's a reference to this person somewhere else. So when I added Apple Martin yesterday as my 1,301st fucking name on the list, I made sure that I put daughter of Chris Martin, QV, and Gwyneth Paltrow, QV, because they both went to private school themselves. Can we deport the gammon to the DRC? Seems like they'll fit in there, and we're all from Africa. If you go back far enough, lol. Yeah, send them back where they came from. Yep, absolutely. Mumford and Sons are trash. Yeah, just posh kids with banjos. They are shite. I like just not even nearly good. I mean, Coldplay. Look, I give them a pass. They're not my cup of tea, but whatever. People seem to like them. Quovidi, which C? Thank you very much. Quadvidi. Is that how you pronounce it? Futtermstuck. Which C? There you go. Andrew says 7% of the population privately educated. Some estimators run as high as 10% at some point. Remarkably similar to the mere 8% of land owned by the English, Danes, and Celts in the 1086 Doomsday Book. Ooh! Privately educated music sucks. Music went downhill after the Independent Music Act in the US in 1995 and the financial crisis. Yeah, there's a lot of other factors as well. I mean, the streaming, meaning that you can't make money out of records anymore, that hasn't helped. Record labels not really wanting to support bands because it's cheaper to support solo artists. So we're not seeing too many bands anymore. There's a lot of different factors that have gone into the lack of decent bands. But, Radiohead, some of them are privately educated. I always liked Radiohead. Joe Strummer from The Clash, he went to private school. Frank Turner from Millions Dead. There's a lot of people who went to private school whose music I quite like, but then, you've got stuff like Ed Sheeran and Mumford and Sons, and I'm like, not my cup of tea. But then again, there's two genres of music in the world. Just two. That's it. What are the two musical genres in the world, Graham? They are, it's this. Music you like and music you don't like. There you go. And never the twain. But when I hear a song, when I hear a tune that I fucking hate, it puts me in a bad mood for the rest of the day. Honestly, it does. And I know there's a few people who are affected like this by shit music. You like Muzak, like elevator fucking music. They just music you'll hear in a supermarket or something. I go into the supermarket with me headphones in, so I don't have to listen to the music that they pump out, especially around Christmas time. Oh my god. Oh my god. I think digital production methods should carry the blame for the degradation of pop music. Says Paul. No, well, that's the thing. It should have made it easier. It should have meant more DIY stuff, but it just doesn't, But I think EDM has just been, it's going to be absolutely destroyed it's already been destroyed by AI, because what is the point? What is the point of even bothering to sit there working on Cakewalk for a few hours to knock together some songs? 180 beats per second. What's the point? What's the point? We can just type in a prompt into an AI engine, it'll come up with stuff. Oh my god, can I just go off on a bit of a tangent here? Not that we haven't already been on a tangent. So before the shows, what I do is I ask ChatGPT to make a bulleted list based on an article that I share with it, or a couple of articles, right? So I can just go through I don't need all the details. I don't need all the fucking acronyms and shit. I just need to know, give me some structure to the show so I don't forget to say things. Because when I first started doing this, I didn't have any notes to refer to. And I would often finish the show and go, oh, fuck, I forgot to say X, Y, Z. So to stop me doing that, I go through ChatGPT. God, fucking. So I tell it, right, that I want bullet lists, right? So I say I want bullets, clear, no repetition. Just break this down for me. So what it did was it gave me a bullet point. So it'll say Germany's position and frustration, and then it would say it would have a paragraph underneath it, which is no good for me because I don't want to sit here looking at the screen. I just want to glance at it and then riff on it. So I wrote, do it again with bullets, comma, all bullets, right? And it knew I meant business because I put that in all caps, right? It did exactly the same thing again. it gave me a bullet headline, and then it gave me a paragraph underneath. To which I write, I want bullets. For example, bullet, while Ukraine is deeply concerned by these talks. But because I couldn't find I didn't have time, because I was getting prepped for the show. I didn't have time to work out where the fucking what is it called? The circumpunct or something? The interpunct. Is it an interpunct? I didn't know where the interpunct logo was, because I was doing it on a laptop rather than on a phone. So getting a bullet point isn't that easy to get. So I wrote the word bullet. So for example, bullet, written, the word bullet, why Ukraine is deeply concerned about these talks, and then bullet, reason 1, bullet, reason 2, bullet, reason 3. Do you understand? Question mark, right? So it says, yes, understood. Everything below is bullet only. No paragraphs, no repetition. Hierarchical but flat bullets, exactly as you liked, right? It's put the word bullet, hasn't it? I want to show you this. It's like, are you kidding me? How can you? No, I want a bullet point. I don't want you to write the word bullet point. What the fuck is wrong with you, AI? Ladies and gentlemen, $1.5 trillion of investment. And it literally writes out the word bullet because it's got no sense of context or continuity. It's like a 20th century architect. Oh my God. I can't even. Anyway, so finally, the last time of axing, I wrote, not the fucking word bullet, you fucking moron, a fucking bullet point for fuck's sake. And then it got it right. I was a bit worried that it would just do one bullet point and then just have all the text underneath. I mean, they're talking about using AI in law enforcement. They're talking about using it in the military. They're talking about using it to do stuff, medical applications. And I'm like, if it can't even get the basics right, it's like, make a bullet list, make a bullet point list, and it writes the word bullet points. I mean, fuck. Oh, Jesus. And, I shared with you a few weeks ago when I said I was doing a crossword, and I'm not going to get over this. And I wrote, give me all the lists, right? Give me a list of the elements of the periodic table with 6 letters in. And it gave me a list, and it included, notably, it didn't include sulfur, because it was using the American spelling, which has an F rather than a PH. In English, it is a 6-letter element. But it did include neon, which is nowhere near 6. I mean, can you not count to 6? It had argon, it had xenon, it had argent, which isn't an element. It's from where you get the word for silver. It's why the chemical symbol for silver is Ag, because it comes from argent, which is also from where you get Argentina from. It means silver place. But it also had Uranus in it. And there is an element named after Uranus, which is uranium. But that's a few more letters than 6. And it's not called... It's the god, the father of fucking... who was it? The father of Zeus? Saturn. The father of Saturn was called Uranus. And there's a planet called... There isn't an element called Uranus. Oh, for fuck's sake. It can't even count to 6. It can't even... Look at a periodic table, which isn't that much data. It's just 118 words. It has 118 words. That's all it is. And people are betting the entire global economy on something that can't count to fucking 6. I'm sorry, I don't get really vexed about this, but like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like NFTs all over again. When I'm sitting there going, what are they doing? Why are people spending millions on a JPEG? Like, are they fucking insane? They're going to lose all their money. Oh, they lost all their money. And you're standing there at the sidelines, like, eating popcorn, just going, what the fucking fuck is going on here? Like, seriously. Oh, my God. Cat's come in to tell me to stop swearing so much. Love you. She's like, Graham, stop the swearing. Argent is French for the element silver. Yeah. So Chappie leans to nobility then. Well, when it comes to the elements anyway. Graham just triggered my phone volume warning. I mean, come on. Oh my God. Anyway, Oh, anyway. Adrian says some independent schools, such as Christ Hospital, the ones that charge the highest fees to the richest people, are structured so they are actually free for the poorest. No, they're not. It's a lie. It's an absolute lie. I'm sorry. Don't come on here and talk bollocks. Only 1% of kids get a full bursary. 1%, 1 in 100 in our private schools, on average, get a full bursary. The rest get a partial bursary because the parents are upper middle class and they can afford a little bit towards the actual, the child going to that school. There is no one. Is there a single child from Bootle in Eton right now? No, don't think so. Or Harrow, or or Winchester, or Westminster. No. All the kids that get bursaries pretty much are all already middle class kids the parents can afford. If you could afford £1,000 a year to send your kid to a private school, then you're not doing too badly. Like the vast majority of people in this country couldn't afford that. They couldn't afford to spend £1,000 a year. They're barely keeping their head above water when it comes to the bills and the price of food. The price of booze has gone up. You can't even afford to get drunk anymore. £7 a pint, thanks to Nigel Farage. So no, it's a lie trotted out by these schools, and they've been doing this for hundreds of years. So it's you can't. We're a charitable school, really, if you think about it. But the reality is they're not, and they take huge sums from the taxpayer. They reckon that for a state school child, it costs about £7,000 or £8,000 a year for them to, off the government for their education, whereas a private school kid can cost in excess of £25,000 a year. Why would they cost so much? Because of all of the funding they get from central government, because they're all charities, apparently, because they allow 1 in 100 kids, the bare minimum they could legally get away with, into their fucking schools. No, I hate private schools. I want them to not exist. I don't think we should have them. I think we should get rid of them. I think we should have a constitutional amendment like what they did in Finland in the 70s to say that no one is allowed to pay for their education. It is free. That is it. And then we will have millionaires' kids, billionaires' kids going to state schools with the rest of us. We will have a millionaire on the PTA. We will have a billionaire on the board of governors for the local comp. And that will improve matters for absolutely everyone. And we won't have this disgusting two-tier system, which means that if you didn't go to a private school, you weren't born into money, you can't progress in this life, in this country. It's very telling that nearly all of the times that I've been paid to present, paid to be on telly, paid to do stuff, I have, it's been a different country. It's been America, it's been Australia, it's been France, it's been Cyprus, it's been Greece, it's been Spain, paying me. Whenever I've done stuff in this country, even for the BBC, I've not been paid. They want to interview me, they want me to come on BBC News, they want me to go on the Holiday Show, they want me to go on BBC Introducing and stuff. They don't want to pay me for that. They never do. They'll say, we'll give you £100 for appearance fee. Viper Scott, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Oh my God, this is a big tangent. I needed these chuckles. I'll just put everyone back down to earth now. My hatred for private schools. Not for the people who went to private schools. Some of the people who went to private schools are really nice. But as institutions, they are fucking vile. They do not need to be inspected by Ofsted. The amount of sexual abuse in these fucking hellholes is off the fucking charts. And that's not just from the teachers. That is also from the peer-to-peer as well. Kids abusing each other, right? And by the way, the teachers don't need to be vetted. They don't need to have a qualification to be a teacher. They don't need to. They can just turn up. Just be some mate of the headmasters or the headmistresses, head teachers. They don't pay tax. This VAT has been put on, and everyone's, oh my God, it's been VAT on. But there's still a bunch of taxes that they avoid by being charities. A couple of years ago, Eton sold off a fucking playing field for millions and millions of pounds. Didn't pay any fucking tax on it. Because they're a charity, don't you know? Like these fucking places in Tufton Street. The Tufton Street Charities, like the LGB Alliance, which is a transphobic, disgusting organisation. The Taxpayers Alliance. It's a charity, don't you know? Yeah, right, mate. Charity for billionaires. Yeah. What irks me, this is Liz, what irks me here in the States is that private schools take away monies from the public education. If you kick it to private school, you shouldn't get out of tax voucher. Yeah, I know. The same here. And they take a much bigger proportion out of the... This is when they go, oh, if you close down the private schools, and there's going to be thousands of children in the state schools, yeah. And it'll cost us less. It will cost the taxpayer less because we won't be maintaining the fucking golf course at Ampleforth. Adrian says, yes, there are some specific poor scholarships, but not like anything enough should be forcibly integrated on similar basis to Finland. I had no access to SEN in independent school. Crap. Yeah. Adrian, that's another thing that these private school mafia do, which is that they force local authorities for special educational needs to put children into these private schools, and they're charging upwards of 50,000, 100,000 in some cases, pounds a year for these kids in these special educational needs schools, which are privatized, which is fucking wrong on every fucking level. Why are we paying so much for something that should be provided by the state? Why is it going to a private enterprise for some cunt to make loads of money out of it? To make money out of our kids. And the amount of money they get in subsidies from the government is just horrific. Don't forget, these are charities, so they benefit from gift aid, which is money that comes from the taxpayer to match fund or sort of 50% match fund, whatever they get. So if some billionaire gives a load of money to their old fucking school, which is a charity, don't you know, then we have to fucking put money in as well. The taxpayer has to put money in. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding? Loads of private schools are now academies. We are closing state schools because of the falling birth rate. So if anything, we need the private school kids to be moved over, says Urban Legends. Yes, couldn't agree more. Rugby school opened a huge college recently in Lagos. Yeah, I'm sure Kemi Badenoch probably got a fucking backhander from that. Hey. Plum says, during my time teaching in college, I used to look out of the window during class and think, get me out of here. Yeah. I'm still annoyed about Eton's 2012 rowing lake upgrade. Henley wasn't far away and hosts regular regattas. Well, you know, they got money. They got money for like the shooting range and for the upgrade for the rowing team. And it's just, why the fuck is the taxpayer paying this? Oh, what is going on? Then again, in America, where they hate paying tax, they go, oh, it's all right. Walmart doesn't have to pay their employees enough. We'll top that up out of our taxes. Which is just fucking bananas. It's all fucking bananas. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, and carbon, says Harushi. Yes. Carbon, nitrogen. Carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. Gotta have some oxygen. Don't know. Do you have what comes after that? Phosphorus? Phosphorus! Probably, possibly. I don't know. Magnesium. That's in there somewhere, isn't it? Manganese. Ofsted. What a vile lot they were. Ofsted? Well, yeah. But the thing is, the person running Ofsted went to private school. So their school didn't have to be inspected by Ofsted. Unless the school wanted to be inspected by Ofsted. But if they don't want to be inspected, they don't have to be. Because they don't pay tax and they don't have to have qualified teachers and they can cover up for sexual abuse of their minors that are in their care and they continue to operate as a private fucking enterprise, which would never fucking happen with anything else. Could you imagine if, like, I don't know, there was it's a weird thing, isn't it? Like Ampleforth School, like that major sex crime carried out by a teacher who was there when James O'Brien was at the school, and the school continues on. I mean, just what? There was a kids club, a private kids club, and then, you know, kids were going to this club and being abused, and the club covered it up. It's not just a case of, you know, one bad apple or a rotten egg or whatever. It's systematic cover up of sexual abuse of children across the private school sector. There's no defending it. There's just no defending it. Private schools need to fucking go. They absolutely need to go. They are disgusting, immoral, economic drain on our country that destroys the hopes and dreams of the 93% of us that didn't go to these fucking cunt farms. Sorry, no offense to the people who did go to private schools. Obviously, I don't think you will. See you next Tuesday. Some people come out of private school relatively unscathed. But, you know, they all get a fucking Wikipedia page, don't they? Oh, look at you with your chip on your shoulder about your Wikipedia page. Well, actually, I don't just have my own Wikipedia page. I'm also on the notable pupils list of my old school. So there's my chip right there. Hey, doing the Tom Lehrer song, The Elements. It's the periodic table set to modern Major General. Thanks very much to Liz. Yes, I know that. What's his name? Daniel Radcliffe from Harry Potter. He can actually do that entire song, which is brilliant. Sebco private school has head of Olympics GB sport, GB funded sports at private schools and public funds as well. Graham. Yep. That doesn't surprise me. That does not surprise me. It's public funds going into private schools. It's why you don't get too many yachters from North Liverpool, from Norris Green, Old Swan. You don't get too many, Olympic winning medalists in the equestrian events from Salford. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't happen very much. Or from, I don't know. And Chris is saying that Hungary's Orbán calls the EU loan for Ukraine an extremely bad decision and lost money. What a gobshite. Kick him out. Kick him out. Just suspend Hungary for a couple of months. Come on. It'll be fun. We'll do it together. Come on. Let's suspend them for a couple of months. And their economy will tank. Will absolutely tankaroony. So we're going to move on to hang on, we do some stuff about this. So yeah, like I said, Hungary is exempt from paying, and Viktor Orbán, as we just mentioned, he's repeatedly obstructed Ukraine aid, and maintaining this alignment with Moscow and using veto threats to dilute or delay support. But the good news is that Ukraine is fairly happy about this. They've got 2/3 of the money they need. They're not leaving empty-handed. Ukraine avoids immediate bankruptcy. Belgium protects Euroclear from legal exposure, and the EU avoids public collapse of unity. So that's all good. But the Russian government, they've won as well, because it avoids the precedent of asset seizure. The Kremlin frames this as legal restraint, by Europe, and Russian assets are still frozen but remaining untouched. And this is a weak strategic result of funding delays rather than resolving Ukraine's crisis. The economic pressure on Russia remains limited. Europe signals caution rather than resolve. And Germany's position on this, Friedrich Merz has supported quite, articulately supported taking these Russian assets, or seizing the assets, and he's argued that Europe must act decisively, and it was internal EU resistance that blocked this proposal. And this reveals a few things about the EU. Unanimity rules, as I've spoken about in the past, allow obstruction by individual states like Hungary. And when you've got a poison pill in the heart of the EU, which Hungary is, you do have a problem there. That means the security decisions are slowed by legal caution as well, and also strategic action ends up becoming fragmented. And, Hungary is now a structural problem for both NATO and the EU. It just fucking is, repeatedly undermining collective security. It weakens the EU's credibility. It undercuts NATO's deterrent. And NATO unity matters. It relies on Article 5, and that needs credible collective defense. And internal sabotage by the likes of America and Hungary are weakening the deterrence against Russia, which is why NATO was created. How can we have a member of NATO in Hungary when NATO was created as a bulwark against Russia? You can say it was the USSR, but most of the countries that were in the USSR are now broken away from Russia and don't want anything to do with them. Thank you very much, because Moscow is a tyrannical government. It always has been, always, since the reign of Peter the Great, Ivan the Terrible, Catherine the Great. There's fucking czars of the Nicholas I, Nicholas II, that all through the Soviet era. And then they had a brief window where things could have gone good, but it didn't, because all the oligarchs bought up all the state-owned apparatus. There's so much shit that went down in Moscow, in Russia, and why would you want to be a part of that? Why would you want to be a part of that unless you're a dictator yourself, like Lukashenko in Belarus? White Russia. Veg Pie fucking Fefe. Thank you very much. We got some super chat there. That was very cool. If you goggle Graham Hughes, you get amazing human being. Spot on. Do you? You get amazing human being. David, did you not get me namesake? Who was in? He was in the Willow TV series. He also played the king of the little people in Your Highness, which is a terrible movie. But there is someone else called Graham Hughes out there, who's pretty awesome actually. He's my friend on Facebook. David Faulkner, thank you very much for the 78 Hong Kongian dollars. Thank you. Let's hope that the EU freezes US assets for its illegal invasion of Iraq, or Turkey for its invasion of Cyprus. Let's just hope no double standards don't become the general rule, says David. Well, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, the invasion of Iraq was unfortunately supported by the Allied powers, and most notably Britain. It wasn't supported by France, so they changed the name of French fries in America for a time to Freedom Fries. But as far as the invasion of Cyprus is concerned, you could argue that the assets of Greece should also be frozen, because they were very much, and they were a fascist dictatorship at the time in Greece. They were very much instrumental in that whole war on the island of Cyprus. It was two other countries fighting over what should have been an independent country. Cyprus should be. Same with Kashmir. It's 3 countries fighting over Kashmir. Should be an independent country. Western Sahara, which was the old Spanish Sahara, 3 countries fighting over that: Morocco, Algeria, and Mauritania. It should be an independent fucking country. Ask the people what they want. Oh, we're gonna have a referendum to ask the people what they want. Nah, fuck no. Yeah, which is really, really sad. But yeah, point taken. That illegal annexations of other people's countries, the illegal invasion. Oh, we just got the confetti. Yay! I'll come to that in a second. But yeah, it shouldn't be encouraged. But don't forget when the Serbs were murdering people in Bosnia and then in Kosovo, the NATO did step up and do something about it. Whereas when Iraq invaded Kuwait, we stood up and did something about it. And for some reason, we're just letting Russia do what the fuck it wants, which is sad. Liz, thank you very much for the €5. Sorry, $5. €5. Thank you. Thank you very much for my Lincoln. Thank you for sending me a Lincoln. Confetti. As I take this show in the car with me to the pool, happy Friday, y'all. Hey, I hope there's no kids in the car, because I sometimes swear. Thank you very much for that, Liz. And Viper Scott has put in £1 super chat, thank you. And then Martin Harrow put in a £2 super chat saying over the line, 1 toke over the line. Hey, and then we've got Viper Scott there saying confetti time now. Brilliant. And then finally we've got Jenny Davis with a £1 English pound. Thank you very much for that. That's very kind of you. And yes, we're gonna unleash the confetti. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, confetti! Woo! Thank you so much, everyone, for chipping in to get us to confetti there. That's fantastic work. Thank you very much. We achieved the goals. It's the nukes, says Dragons Marine. Yeah, the nukes that don't fucking work though. They don't fucking work. They haven't been looking after them. No way. Oh, I need some more coffee. Anyway, so yeah. Do you know what I did yesterday? Right, it's just a little. I had a little bit of coffee left in the coffee pot. You get those little silver tins from Lidl. You know the coffee that comes in little silver tins. I had a little bit of that left, right? And I thought I can't get to it with a spoon very well. So what I'll do is I'll tip it into the next jar, right? Because we had another one that just had a little bit. And so I tip it in, and then I shake it, and then I look at it, and I've just put the caffeinated coffee into the decaf coffee. And it's all like powder, and I'm like, oh. So I don't know how caffeinated this is. It might be a little bit decaf, might be a little bit caff. I don't know. But we'll see. But yeah, don't allow me to play with your chemistry set, because I'll fuck it up. So yeah, perhaps that's not waking me up as much as it should. Although I'm ADHD, so coffee doesn't actually, touch the sides at me anyway. So it's a bit weird. I can honestly drink coffee. I can drink a whole fucking big mug full of coffee and then fall asleep straight after. It's a weird thing that I don't think most people can do. Like, they drink coffee and they're like this. Like, my partner, Kat, she can't drink coffee after 9 o'clock because if she does, she can't sleep. And I'm there, like, midnight. Instead of my hot cocoa, I'm like hot coffee with caffeine in it. And she's like, how can you drink that just before going to sleep? And I'm like, I don't know. ADHD, different brain chemistry. Anyway, so yes, we'll finish off talking about this fucking loan. I will do this if it kills me. But yeah, there is a case for suspending Hungary from both the EU and NATO, but the EU I think is more important right now, because once you get rid of Orbán and get someone sensible in charge who's pro-EU, pro-European, anti the northern wastelands of Asia, then yeah, this could fit in there. But also, the UK's got to help out with this as well, and I do think that we should be securing a loan with Ukraine. I'll be very surprised if we don't. I'm not saying it's going to fill up the whole third of the money that they need. I think it's probably going to be about 10 billion that we are going to loan. Watch this space. That's my prediction, looking into my crystal balls. And we will be looking at other countries to maybe make up the rest of the money. Maybe looking to somewhere like Canada, maybe looking to somewhere like Australia or New Zealand. It's a bit of a stretch, but could be done. But there's the option of talking to the Commonwealth countries, but I'd feel a bit dodgy, taking money off countries that aren't doing too well themselves to help fund this war that is Europe's war against the northern wastes of Asia. And no point in asking America, but I don't know. They just need to keep going for the next 2 years, because what will happen in the midterms next year, if they go ahead, if Trump allows them to go ahead, it's going to be carnage in America. But whatever, whatever way that ends up, there is going to be a big push to get rid of these dickhead Republicans out of Congress. Do you know one thing I'm really looking forward to in this next upcoming election? I want them to get rid of all the fucking boomers in the no, not all boomers, not all boomers. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Not all boomers. But yeah, there are a fuckload of boomers in the American Parliament, and they need to be gotten rid of. Just get rid of them. Congress, call it Congress, don't they? I like calling it the American Parliament because I know it annoys them. But yeah, there's a lot of them. So maybe next year we could see a bit of a wave of younger people. I mean, don't forget, if you're Gen X, you're in your 60s now. I mean, they're not even that fucking young anymore. Not all boomers, says Veg Pie. Thank you, Veg Pie, for putting that in the chat. I did bring it up as a... But yeah, they are very top heavy when it comes to age. It's a bit like our House of Lords, a bit top heavy. And 2/3 of boomers, says Chris. 2/3 of them. No, I'm saying there's too many of them in the state in the country legislature of the United States of America. Can't believe I've got old. I don't know, where's all the time go, Veg Pie? Where's all the time go? Liz says ADD processes stimulants differently. Heading for the car now. I don't text and drive. Lol. Yeah, don't do that, please. So Chrissy, so Russia has no nukes, says David. No, well, it does look very much like the nukes that they had have not been maintained. You need to look at the evidence of the maintenance of their equipment, like their tanks and stuff like that. I mean, they're relying on drone warfare now. They're having to build drones to fight this war because all of the old stuff that they had is falling apart. Like, the wheels are falling off their tanks. The treads are falling off their tanks. They had like one squeaky tank in the parade, didn't they? Oh, was that America? I can't remember. They just had one squeaky tank going past, which was from World War II for the parade in Moscow, because all the rest of them have been immobilized, blown up, taken out by the Ukrainians. You look at that, and then you also look at just the figures. America spends more on its maintenance of its nuclear arsenal than Russia spends on its entire military, and Russia's currently at war at the moment in an active war zone. I know it's a special military operation. That's only going to take 3 days. 4 years later, my 3-day operation is going as planned. But yeah, I really don't think that because it costs a lot of money to upkeep radioactive material. Radioactive material, it just wants to degrade. It just wants to fall apart. That's why you have half-life, Bloomers wear pants. Not all bloomers. I'm 60 and couldn't be more Antifa. Well, you're Generation X, aren't you, David? So you were born in what, 1965? Yeah, that's Generation X, mate. You are an Xer. The first Generation Xers reached 60 last year, says Diz. Yep. I just wish Russia would leave Ukraine. So do I. Plum. Yeah. Boomer has become a real term of disrespect, says Gary Arnold. Yeah, it has, but the boomers really haven't done themselves any favors by consistently voting for the worst possible option and voting for options that are going to fuck future generations. So if there's an option to fuck the country or fuck economically or fuck the planet environmentally, 2/3 of boomers across the board, across countries, around the world seem to vote for the things that are going to fuck things up for future generations. And that is a huge problem. Another huge problem is the amount of wealth that is locked into the boomer generation, because they're that generation that bought a house for £2.50 back in 1965, and now that same house is worth 2.5 million. I mean, that they are sitting on so much of our assets. And that's why 1 in 4 boomers, 1 in 4, 25% of boomers in this country are millionaires. And I know there's boomers watching this who aren't millionaires and feel aggrieved about the fact that, yeah, we think about how the younger generations feel, who can't afford to have families and can't afford to buy a house and can't afford to buy a car because of what the boomers have done, because of who the boomers have consistently voted for. They voted for Brexit in overwhelming numbers, dragging the rest of us down with them. My generation voted against it. They voted to stay massively, to stay in the EU, compared with what the boomers did. But unfortunately, there's more boomers than there are each individual other cohort that's put together. And I know it's an artificial cohort. However, it is helpful. It is helpful. And there's a point here, which I want to make, about it might not be the boomers' fault, because boomers were poisoned throughout their whole childhood and throughout the years with lead. That's why there were so many boomers that were serial killers. That they were poisoned with lead in the petrol, lead in the paint, lead in the pipes. There was just lead everywhere. They were just drinking pints of lead every day, and that fucked them up, because it fucks up your brain. It fucks up your ability to reason. And it makes you angry for some reason. And angry people make bad decisions. Makes you fearful. Hate leads to fear. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to the dark side or something. But yes, Veg Pie says, missed the 80s, big hair and shoulder pads. It did have a look, the 80s, didn't it? Whereas I don't think the 20s has a look. Did the 10s have a look? Did the noughties have a look? At least in the 90s, everyone looked like they were wearing each other's clothes. But since the millennium, everyone's just worn the same things. Hoodies and jeans. Danny Dorling does an interesting lecture on poverty in the UK. Very interesting, very real. Chris says, proud 41-year-old millennial here. Well, I'm a 46-year-old millennial. Yeah, right on the cusp. I'm not having anyone tell me I'm a Generation X, because I'm definitely not. I don't like Bon Jovi. Carol Malone has shed loads of complaints. I don't watch Jeremy Vine anymore. I've had enough of her. I hope this is gets restricted to KG beers. Carol Malone is horrible. Is horrible. Urbane Legends, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. First generation raised by TV, worth considering. Yeah, that is. But isn't it interesting that the greatest generation were the ones who put the EU together and put NATO together and stood up against the forces of fascism all through their lives? And once they're gone, you've got these boomers who never fought for their country. They were too young, some of them, to do national service. National service went out the way in the 1960s, and they never fought for this country, and yet they act like they do. They have an orgasm every time they see a fucking Spitfire. They want to put fucking flags on every fucking lamppost to show that they love Nigel Farage so much. Look at me, Nigel. Look at me. It's all for you, Nigel. Oops. Anyway, fell asleep with my glasses on last night, says Veg Dragons Marine irresponsibly played with grunge, left a permanent fashion mark. The 80s were miserable, miners' strikes and mass unemployment, and my childhood. 90s were all right, though, says Jesseln. Yeah, well, not if you were in Rwanda or Kosovo, but yeah, if you were in other places, I suppose it was quite cool. 60s and 70s was poverty, UK was wrecked. Yeah, David King, the rich were rich and everyone else wasn't. And that's the world that they want to take us back to because they hate the fact that so many people, they hate the middle class. I did a whole lecture on this on the Sunday show this week. There's a lot of people who in the middle class themselves who don't realize they're middle class and they just want to destroy the middle class. They want to take away opportunities for everyone else who comes after, which is really, really grim. Okay, so I just want to finish off talking about what's happened with this Ukrainian deal. So the UK can act faster than the EU. It's not bound by EU consensus rules, and it retains financial and military capacity, which is pretty. I mean, we moan about it, but it's still a lot. We're still a rich country. We're still this powerful country. We've still got a nuclear deterrent. And the UK actioning this is more important than ever because the United States policy is increasingly unpredictable. European support is now very, European support is now more decisive than ever because of the US being knobheads, and the UK could fund much of it could close the gap. In the amount of money that the Ukrainians need to defend themselves against the foreign invaders. And they're having talks at the moment in Miami, and fucking, Jared Kushner's going to be there. Oh my God. The Nepo baby to kill all Nepo babies. The Ukraine's holding separate discussions. The Americans are concocting things with Moscow. But here's the thing, right? Ukraine is concerned because these talks are being conducted without Ukrainian consent, and proposals may include, again, to territorial concessions that Ukraine can't accept. And there's also the risk of freezing the conflict on Russian terms. And Zelensky has got his red lines: no surrender of defended territory. Any ceasefire requires a binding security guarantee. Guarantees must be equivalent to NATO protection. Whereas the Americans are running around saying, "Oh, you got to take away the you got to never join NATO." That's what you got to say. You got to never join NATO because you don't want to upset Russia. What the fuck has Russia got to do with what Ukraine does? Ukraine can do whatever the fuck it wants. If it wants to join NATO, it can. If it wants to join Cirque du Soleil, it fucking can. It's its own independent fucking nation. It's got nothing to do with Russia. Russia's feeling threatened. Oh, fuck off. How about Georgia feeling threatened by the fact you invade them? How about Chechnya feeling threatened by the fact that you flattened fucking Grozny? Or the people of Dagestan feeling threatened by the fact that you just massacre people without any fucking comeback at all? What about the people of Russia feeling threatened by the fact that if you talk out against Russia, against Putin, he fucking kills you? He fucking throws you out of a window or poisons you with Novichok or polonium or throws you out of a fucking plane or blows your plane up from the fucking ground? How about that? How about the people who are a little bit scared about fucking Russia? Hey? How about them? Or, to be clear, scared of what Putin's going to do. The mad fucking monk, Rasputin. The real choice of for Europe here really should be to fully fund NATO and allow them to negotiate from a position of strength. And, the alternative is to allow financial exhaustion to dictate peace terms. And, Russian assets must ultimately be seized for reparations, and Hungary must be politically isolated. And I think they should be suspended from the EU for a couple of months, get rid of Orbán in the elections that are coming up next year, and then hopefully we'll have more of a consensus around Europe. And also something else the EU needs to do, get rid of the consensus rule, okay? You don't have to make it a simple majority. You can make it a super majority. It's fine. In fact, make it 90%. Make it 90%. Okay, maybe not 90 because then there's 3 of them. Make it so that if 24 of the countries of the EU, the 27 countries of the EU, want to do something, it gets fucking done. It gets done. They just fucking do it. Okay. Yeah, 90%. Let's say 90 because it would only be 9%, wouldn't it? Or something about that. My maths isn't mathing this morning. And anyway, so yeah, the UK also needs to significantly increase financial and military support as well. So there you go. Don't forget Hillsborough, Kingsfire, this great storm. God, yeah. That almost took out Rene from Hello, Hello, the great storm, didn't it? Didn't a tree land on him? Summer music of 96 was great. It was indeed, Sarah. I remember it fondly. Fondly, I do. Fondly. Oh, that the first V gig in Warrington, Pulp headlining at Elastica, Skunk and Nancy, Cast were playing for some reason, I don't know. It's Supergrass, I think we're playing on that bill. God, it was a fucking great lineup. One day festival in Warrington. Great days. Rasputin, there was a cat that really was gone. Thank you very much to Boney M for that. And then Sarah, 96 was when I split with my first long-term partner. Summer of fun. Coincidentally, I'm giving her a ring back later. Had it in a box for giving her her ring back. I thought you were giving her a ring back later. I've had this phone call in a box for 20 years, 30 years. But yeah, there are some good people and bad people. Ever notice that the good people spend their time cleaning up after the bad people? Think what good people could do if not preoccupied with doing that. That is beautifully put. You're absolutely right. We do spend all our time clearing up the mess that the bad people leave behind. The bad, greedy, evil, gluttonous people who are just fucking everything for everyone. Okay, so we have got the papers here. The Daily Star. There's a guy with a wasp on his face for some reason. We've got voters face longer wait to kick out councillors. Bid to propose May elections and wages reform. Good. And then we've got the guy. The guy's pulled himself a Guinness. Well done, mate. He's pulled himself a Guinness. And then we've got infectious remembrance of Bazball, which died at the Adelaide Oval. R.I.P. The body will be cremated and the ashes left in Australia. So this is about the ashes being absolutely catastrophically, not all boomers. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Being absolutely hammered by the Australians. So they play cricket. For those who don't know about cricket, they play 5 sets of cricket in different places in Australia. So they'll play one game in Adelaide, one game in Melbourne, one game in Sydney, one in Brisbane, and one in Perth. I think. I might be wrong. I think that's right. But yeah, so it's the best of 5, and England have lost the first 3. So they're going to play 2 games now for fun, just to knock a ball around a cricket pitch. But there's no point now because we've already lost, and we lost catastrophically. Cat-a-fucking-strophically. Film, 1 out of... You can't really see this very well, but on the iPaper, that is giving it 1 out of 5. I Survived, Avatar 3, and No One Else Should Have To. Wow, that is a bad review. It's been getting a few bad reviews, actually. Kwasi Kwarteng, things look good for Kemi because we had no expectations. Mortgage price war in spring 2026 as bank offers hope on inflation. Mortgage rates predicted to drop as low as 3% early in the new year, and the Bank of England now expects inflation to fall quicker than forecast in rosier assessment of Britain's cost of living crunch. Interest rates have been cut to 3.75%, lowest since 2023, amid concern at unemployment and zero growth. Good news on inflation, expected to fall closer to 2% next year, meaning some relief on bills. And Rachel Reeves says that rate cuts could knock £100 off monthly payments for the first-time buyers. Mortgage brokers in hope for golden era of house buying, lower lending and stagnant prices. Yeah, well, that's the hope. That is the hope. That is very much the hope, please. Can we just allow people to get onto the housing market? But also, we've seen the biggest uplift in wages for a long time. Yeah, another thing the Labour government are doing quite well at, but they're so shit at telling anyone. And it's being drowned out by the shit they're doing. Yeah, great. So frustrating. Anyway, we got the 50 best films and albums of 2025 in The Guardian that we might go through on maybe an episode of the Friday Night Social. I don't know. New Epstein's photos show quotes from Lolita written on women, which is not great, is it? And then we've got the dreams that the year that dreams are made of. Robert McIlroy wins the Sports Personality of the Year. That's nice. He's a golfer, isn't he? First golfer to win it for about 30 years or so. Rayner memoir fuels leadership speculation. EU leaders race to reach deal on funding Ukraine, which we talked about this morning. Labour's running scared of voters as ministers open door for 63 councils to scrap next May's elections. Tories and Reform blast Labour's. Okay, right. And the woman who outraged millions by revealing her dream Christmas dinner is a Tesco chicken tikka masala for one by Sophie Corcoran, who has no friends. She's one of these young right-wing people who went to private school, of course. And she sits there going, I don't have any friends. Why doesn't anyone like me? And you're like, well, because you're a gobshite. Maybe you should imagine that you shouldn't be a gobshite. And then, it'll be, you'd have more friends. You got these people like Graham Linehan who could have a family, could have kids around for Christmas. And he could have his wife there as well. And he doesn't because, he decided to become a massive transphobe and go on about trans people all the time. So now he spends Christmas alone. He spends New Year alone, drinking on his own, tweeting incessantly and kind of obsessively about trans people existing. Because, that's what happens when you go down that particular toxic, pipeline. Anyway, so she's privately educated, Sophie Corcoran. She's on my private school mafia list. And so is all of these motherfuckers. All of these lot. These are all on my private school list. And it's very important that you see a picture of these kids from this school, from this family down the road. It's very important that you see pictures of them. Look, I printed full colour pictures of these children. Here, look at the children. Look at the children, everyone. Be strong to face down Russia. Kemi Badenoch says her Tories have the competence to deal with Putin's threats. Well, why didn't you do that when you're in power then? Same picture on the front cover of the Telegraph, because that's weird, isn't it? Phillips and Block safe spaces for women. Oh, fuck off. Fuck off. Why don't you fuck off? The Daily Telegraph. It's just the shittest newspaper in the world. Jesus Christ. They're having to sell it, Do you know why they're having to sell it? Because it was owned by a foreign billionaire. And Labour changed the rules this year to say that you can't be a foreign billionaire and own a British newspaper. That did happen. That did actually happen. And then we've got Motability bosses pay soars to 924,000, which is far too much. Badenoch, but they're saying this. They've got Motability because they hate disabled people as well as trans people and people who aren't born into fabulous amounts of wealth. Badenoch, also privately educated. British boys don't need misogyny lessons. Migrants do. She talks about people who don't share our values. What, like Americans? You don't share our values on the rights of women. What? Like Americans? Silence. We've got Labour cancels elections out of fear in inverted commas because they can't say it because it's not true. So they're saying that it's a quote down here. Hunt Sabs kidnapped our foxhound. And then we've got Frozen. 300 billion will not go back to Russia. BP's new boss urged to abandon net zero. Yeah, of course, because it's not profitable for them to make wind turbines, is it? Not when you can fill a one little ship full of $95 million worth of oil. That's good, isn't it? We've got the Financial Times here, the FTSE. That's the Financial Times share index, but this is the FT. We can translate documents into 100 languages. No, I don't want to make precious memories. Go away, adverts. We've got energy test. Outsider steps into BP breach. Meg O'Neill, the US-born boss of Australia's Woodside Energy, has been appointed chief executive of BP. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Bank of England responds to cooling inflation by cutting rate to quarter point to 3.75, which is great news if you have a mortgage, I guess. I don't have a mortgage, so I don't care. Starmer takes safe option as veteran diplomat Turner given Washington job. That's nice. And then we've got fear of reprisals erode EU unity on key funding. Absolutely. We've got some briefing here in brief. Should we read the brief? We've got Moan Tide Group wound up amid search for £122 million. This is money that was given by Boris Johnson and his corrupt government to a bunch of his corrupt cronies, including Baroness Moan of Scumbagia, and she has run away with all the money, her and her husband, and they've said, oh, the group that we had, PPE MedPro, we've wound it up, and it now owes the government 122 million, which it says it can't pay because it spent it all on a private, property in Miami, spent it all on a yacht, spent it all on buying their little Nepo baby children houses out on the outskirts of Glasgow. Millions. Record law firm merger. Car makers viewer sours. Berlin woos private equity. Trump group in $6 billion bet. Trump's media group has agreed to combine fusion energy company TAE in a deal valued at $6 billion, representing a punt on nuclear energy powering the AI boom. Jesus wept. It's media company. This is Truth Social, isn't it? This media company, which currently has 1.5 million active users. I think more people visit my fucking website. Jesus Christ. Australia tightens laws. Corvex aims at Whitbread. Bookseller IPOs planned. Excellent. That's for flotation of Barnes and Noble, which you can only get a deal with if you were posh and went to a posh school. And then we have violence against women strategy revealed here, and we have Olivia Colman, who is lovely, and I love her, and she's great. She went to private school though, but I won't mention that. And then we've got Stars back quest for a safer world. Labour's strategy to tackle a national emergency and halve violence against women and girls has been revealed with the backing of celebrities Olivia Colman and Georgia Harrison. So that's good, backing of celebrities there, but for a very noble cause, which is something that I absolutely agree with. Something that Kemi Badenoch doesn't agree with. She thinks that we shouldn't be educating children on the facts that women are people and you shouldn't treat them like shit. She doesn't think that we should be teaching children that, because in her head, this is what she said out of her stupid face. She said, 11-year-olds aren't committing these crimes. Yeah, but they're not going to be 11 forever, Kemi, they're not going to be 11 forever. Oh, it's all migrants. It's migrants who don't share our values committing the crime. No, they're not. Statistically, migrants are much less likely to sexually assault you than someone that you know, than white people that you know. White people are absolutely massively more likely to abuse you or worse. Just that a woman dies every 3 days in this country at the hands of a partner, ex-partner, a man, a fucking man. So there you go. Anyway, so I'm going to wrap up now because it is 10:30 and we've made our quota for the day. And I've got a big day ahead of me because at 1 o'clock we're going to be back with the agenda, and then we're going to have a little bit. Of a move of location, 3 hours down the road, and I'll be doing the show tonight at my family home and in Liverpool because it's Christmas. You go and see your family at Christmas. If your family's all right, if your family are a bunch of twats, then you're best off seeing your mates, which is the family that you make for yourselves. Anyway, so yes, anyone watching Fallout? Yes, Harry Flashman. I watched it last night. Well, I watched the first episode last night. I don't know if any other episodes are out, but it was all right. It was all right. But I spent the whole time going, "Who's that? Who are they? What do they do? How does that come into it?" I should have rewatched. I watched the recap at the beginning, like to find out, to try and jog my memory of what happened in the first season, but I don't remember it that much. But it is a lot of fun. It's very gory. It's like The Boys. It's very gory. Didn't have these issues before the fucking Angles turned up. Yeah, they did. The bloody Angles and the Saxons. Those Angles being obtuse. See what I did there. Still on for Lot Lane, Graham. Yeah, Martin, I'll be in... I don't know. Where should I go? The Wine Lodge? Or the Albert, or I don't know, mate. I'll tell you on the day. But yeah, I will be on Lark Lane on Christmas Eve. On Christmas Eve, I'm going out in town tomorrow though, in Liverpool. So if anyone's out and about, I should be there in late afternoon into the evening, mucking about, causing trouble, nudging people while they're aiming, always demanding to be at the captain's table. You know what I'm like. Anyway. So, I'll see you over there. But before I leave, I will be doing the agenda. I'm going to get packed now. I will be doing the agenda at 1 o'clock with Phil Moreland. More Phil. We need more Phil. A different bias. Please join us for that. And until we meet again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining us on this super chat, this super chat between us. We're having a lovely chat. One might call it super. Give us a like before you go. Hit the bell notification and give us a subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, you totally should do that. And until 1 o'clock, or maybe 9:30 tonight for the Friday Night Social, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.